Hi, this is Christopher Bruza, and today I am here with a tour of my Taran Tactical Innovations Benelli M2. It's an 18.5-inch barrel configuration, a defensive type setup. But you don't see many Taran Tactical Benellis on YouTube, so I figured I would do a rundown. This is my home defense shotgun. I've had two Taran Tacticals over the years, as well as the Benelli 3-gun edition and a Salient Arms M2 and a customized M4. M2 I built myself. They're all great guns. This is one of the few Benellis I still own because this one is the best. I currently have a 14-inch entry model awaiting ATF approval, which is currently stock, but it will end up similar to this. So as I do with these tours, I'll start down here at the butt, work my way forward, and just explain what's going on here and why I like it. So starting down here at the butt, we have a Comfort Tech stock. Benelli offers two different types of stocks. One is a traditional rifle stock, which has these inserts, and it's cut up to flex and absorb some of the recoil. You can go on Benelli's website and view a demonstration of this. I believe it's a CAD mock-up of some sort. But as the gun recoils, this is supposed to squish and slightly deform and absorb some of the energy. The other stock they offer is the non-Comfort Tech, and that will not have these gel inserts. It'll have a screw-on recoil pad, and it comes as a rifle stock or a pistol stock. The rifle stock's becoming more uncommon. I have one in my safe if you don't believe they exist. The Comfort Tech I like because it's very simple to change the length of pull. This pad just pulls off, and this, right now I think it's 13.75 inch, something along those lines. It's shorter than 14. This is the small recoil pad on here. On a shotgun, I like a 12-inch length of pull, and with this stock you aren't going to get that, but I find this comfortable enough to shoot. My Benelli M4 had a traditional type stock. I had it cut down to 12 inches. Usually I have my Remington's 870s cut down to 12 inches. Or you can replace the stocks on these with a Mesa Tactical pistol grip stock, either with a riser or without. But if you have the Comfort Tech model stock, you're going to have to change at the end, inside of here is a tube which houses a spring that the bolt compresses as you fire and goes back under recoil, which sends it forward again. At the end of that tube, it's threaded, and you have to change that threaded piece to the normal non-Comfort Tech stock. Then your Mesa Tactical stock will fit. So as you can see, this stock here has got Stippling, which is a heat process where you modify the plastic. You generally use like a solder gun, solder tip, solder pencil. It's very common. Adds grip to a plastic stock that would otherwise be slippery. You'll see that both the Forend and butt have it. That was done by Taran Tactical. This entire build, as you see it, minus the light, is how Taran Tactical delivered this. The stippling is very common with pistols, not as much seen on shotguns, and I'd love to see it on more ARs. But for instance, here's my carry pistol, and you will see it's stippled, and the stippling looks extremely worn out. It's dirty, it's ugly. It's because I carry this gun all day, every day. But it still adds a ton of purchase to your hand. So even if it's not as pretty as this, when I use this gun more, I've shot it a handful of times, you will see this get ugly. Still completely functional. So, okay, so that's a Comfort Tech stock. Benelli, specifically the M2, I don't recall seeing that on the M4. I'm sure the Super Black Eagle also has it. Here you have a spacer shim system which can adjust the drop and caster, maybe. I don't know what shotgun people call it. I'm not a shotgun person. You can slightly adjust the angle of this stock so you get a better natural point of aim. Taran Tactical supplies them with a sling stud here. The spacer is still there, but there's a sling stud behind it, so the contour here looks a little funny. You get a slight bump, and that's just because that space is extended. It's a fairly common practice, and you'll see in the clips of me shooting this, I use a single point sling simply because this is here and it works fairly well for what this gun's intent is. So coming up, we have the receiver. Obviously it's laser engraved with the TTI logo. They want to make sure that they made it. But the other glaring change is the bolt carrier. You can see it's lightened. There's a lot of material removed here, and it is coated. I'm guessing titanium nitride. I don't know. I didn't research it before the video, but it's coated, which isn't that big of a deal. I mean, it looks pretty. I would assume they did it for cosmetics. Your actual bolt is chrome, and generally this is going to be a black piece. I would assume black oxide, but it could be black zinc. Functionally, this is supposed to be quicker. It's supposed to be cycle quicker. They've changed most of the springs within the shotgun, and again, that's for cycling quicker. These are generally used as competition shotguns. Don't know, I haven't ran anybody else who uses one of these for home defense, but it's proved reliable. So the trigger springs are going to be changed. The recoil spring in the butt pad is changed, and this bolt is lightened. It has their Taran Tactical bolt knob, which is much smaller than the Nordic or ones you generally see people running. It works fine. I see no need to change it. And there is also the extended bolt release, which is the Taran Tactical model. The bolt release on these is a must. It's a very tiny little button, and I know some people will say that when you put a shell in, you can push down, and that negates the purpose of a bolt relief. It's hard to do, and it is not something I'm going to remember in a fight. So this bolt release is large. It's real easy if you run dry to just drag an extra shell in and clip that with your hand, and you're ready to go. These shells in the video are all dummy shells. As you can see, it's written dummy on them. This receiver, you can see, started its life as an M2 field. It has this relief cut here, which is a bit interesting. It's not the tactical model, which would not have this relief cut here. I don't know if it's because of the type of sights. When you order from Taran, you can get just a regular bead. You can get these rifle sights. I don't know what they call them, or you can get the ghost rings. I've had several shotguns with the ghost rings. They're great, and for this I wanted something different, and I wanted something that did not commit the receiver to the barrel. You'll see in later videos I have a different barrel setup for this. It's also 18-inch, but it is a ribbed bead sight barrel that is ported. We were talking about the bolt. This is a inertia system. There's no gas that actually imparts a force directly upon this bolt. When the gun recoils, the firearm moves back. Inside of here, I can barely move it, but inside of here, what's stopping the movement of this bolt is a large spring. So as the gun recoils, that spring is compressed. When the spring stops compressing, it releases its energy, which then pulls the bolt carrier back and cycles the round. It's a fairly unique system that, don't know if Benelli created it, but they're known for using it. The change to the trigger assembly is primarily springs, and they machined away a relief here for loading shells. It's still a plastic trigger assembly. There are a lot of aftermarket trigger guards out here now for Benelli M2s, which are made out of aluminum, and I believe there are also factory ones you can get. This is plastic. And you will see that they completely cut away the loading port. So you can quad load this. Out of the factory, this does not look like this. There's no exposed aluminum, and it is much smaller. You can't see the follower right there. And it's interesting, they leave the stock follower. I don't know how 922R affects Taran Tactical, and I'm not a lawyer. I don't know, but I found it interesting they left the stock follower. You can see this, the non-ejection side is cut down much more, and it's cut further out, and these cuts actually extend onto the stippled forend. I am not a shotgun person, but it is capable of quad loading. So just quad loaded 4 dummy shells. Again, I'm not a shotgun person, but it's not that difficult. If you're new to Benelli's, you'll see I just put 4 shells in the magazine. This holds 7 in the magazine, plus 1 on the lifter, plus 1 in the chamber. It's called ghost loading. I got 4 in the magazine right now. Nothing is being released from the magazine onto the lifter and then into the chamber. You have this button here, which, watch here, this will release. And now a round goes on the lifter up into the chamber. And when you fire, this is automatically activated, or within the trigger assembly, not that physical button. But so these are dummy shells. I pull the trigger, you'll see another shell pop down. Recoil would send that out. Bam, bam, and it locks back on the last round. This is what's called a match saver. It's an option from Taran Tactical, and I opted to get it. When you're ordering the shotgun, you can pick the color for the match saver and the bolt release, the bolt knob. Black works for me. So then you would just bang, and the gun is empty. That's the receiver portion. The forend on the M2, it's a great forend. The issue is it does not have any way to put a flashlight. And with my M4 entry build, we're going to go over this in more detail. But this one is just like they would put on their 3-gun model, but it's stippled. You get the match saver, have a Nordic Components extended magazine tube here, and Nordic Components nut. The barrel, as far as I know, is stock. I'd have to check Taran Tactical's website whether they lengthen the forcing cone or decrease the angle of the forcing cone. It has the standard choke system that Benelli uses. I want to say they're Creo chokes. And you see here there is a Nordic Components magazine clamp. It has a sling stud here, which I wish I could use, but being a defensive shotgun, I want a light on it. I'm not going to shoot stuff in the dark, so I have a Surefire Scout mounted right here, and I can reach up with my hand and activate it. It's push button, on, off, momentary. It's not the best solution for this gun. It's not even a good solution, but it's a solution I'm using right now. I really wish Surefire still offered the forend for the M1 and M2. I've been keeping an eye out for a long time on Gunbroker, and the ones that are out there go for insane prices. There was one a few weeks ago. It went for close to $700 for something that was originally in the twos, and it was beat up, was not pretty, and it was the incandescent light, not the LED. I wish I could get a new Surefire one. They're really hard to come by. The other thing to mention is these sights. They are technically rifle sights, but they're only windage adjustable. I cannot adjust the elevation on them. I guess you could go in with a file and start modifying them that way. There are 2 screws up here which allow this rear sight to be adjusted for windage. And you'll see in the video it was hitting slightly right. In the video I have since adjusted it. Taran Tactical used some sort of Loctite, I'm assuming, because I could not get these screws off. I physically deformed the hex wrench I was using. I had to put a torch on it, and then they loosened up just fine. So they are now regulated for 25 yards, point of aim, point of impact, and one of the things that Taran Tactical says they do, and my experience would confirm that, is they adjust the barrel so that slugs and birdshot hit in the same place. I've never shot birdshot out of this, but that's what people use in competition. But the slugs and buckshot I use certainly do hit in the same place. In the other barrel I have, it's true for that. Maybe both are a coincidence, and it's all snake oil. I have no idea. But It's my home defense shotgun. I usually keep it topped up with Federal Flight Control 9 pellet buckshot. Works great. I am a big fan of number 4 buckshot, but when these loading ports are opened up, it is a balancing act, and it makes loading much easier. But if you get a shell where the diameter of this rim is too small, it will sometimes slide past the shell stop. And Benelli only use one shell stop, like a Remington 870 uses 2. I don't recall what Mossberg uses. I've had Mossbergs, but I don't remember, and I'm not as into them. But there's one shell stop right here, which is on the Benelli. It's only on one side, and Taran Tactical has gone through and polished the heck out of it. But I have had no issues with this other than one type of number 4 bird shot that slips past the shell stop. I wish I could shoot that in this gun, but I'm sure double aught buck is going to do just fine. And yeah, it's a great gun. I'm sure a stock M2 would be just as good, but this is what I'm going to grab if I have to defend my home. I do have short-barreled ARs, suppressed ARs, short-barreled suppressed ARs. It's really hard to deny the effectiveness of a shotgun, and that's where I sit. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like the video, and enjoy.